Thank you for joining us for this segment of Goddard at a Glance. My name is Keaton Fish. I'm a city councilman here in Goddard. And with me today is Micah Scoggan, our community development director. Micah, how are we doing?
I'm doing good.
It's good. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So we'll cut straight to the chase. Your department handles quite a few services in the community. Could you just give us a quick overview of what you guys do here?
Sure, no problem. So predominantly what community development does is they handle the growth and economic growth of the city as a whole. So what we're looking at is we work with developers to bring in new residential development, new commercial development, and type of industrial development. Everything from anybody who wants to build a house to somebody who wants to build a whole residential development and everything in between. And so we help manage that growth. And we also interpret the subdivision regulations of the city of Goddard. Every city in the US and Canada and anywhere else for that matter are going to have subdivision regulations. And that's basically regulations that have been adopted by city council and the governing body over the years that have been compiled how they want to see the city grow. And those are what the subdivision regulations are. So we interpret that, we make sure developers are in compliance, and we get things going.
Perfect. Well, I think one big question on a lot of people's minds is, when is Goddard going to get some sit-down restaurants?
Sit-down restaurants, yeah.
So what do you have to say to that of what that process looks like?
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. Obviously, as people are aware, and which the biggest hurdle was 2020. So COVID really impacted restaurants. Banks got really leery because when COVID happened, certain cities would be shutting restaurants down somewhat arbitrarily because they were afraid of the COVID outbreak. And so what happened was that banks got scared because they had all this investment in restaurants, and now there was no more cash flow because the restaurants got shut down. So then banks are saying, well, we need more collateral. We need a lot more collateral to bring in restaurants. And so if you don't have big pockets or you're doing a standard franchise, it's very difficult. There's no one to reach out for those mom and pop shops. You don't know who to talk to. And even if they did, the upfront cost for mom and pop is really high right now. So that makes it very difficult. So what you're predominantly going to see is we're going to be reaching out to try to get typical franchises into the city, but also we know that people want the sit-down restaurants, so we reach out to the McAllisters, the Longhorn Steak Shops, all of those things. We try to see if anybody's willing to come into the city, and with our current residential growth, at some point somebody's going to bite, and then we're hoping to get some more sit-downs.
Sure. So as you have mentioned to me in the past, rooftops are a big importance.
Huge.
More rooftops.
Absolutely.
In Goddard.
Yeah.
So with that comes duplexes, multifamily housing. And so could you just kind of discuss the benefits of duplexes and multifamily housing?
Absolutely. No, that's a huge question, right? Because obviously with rates being close to 7% right now, the average mortgage for a family is somewhere around $1,800, $2,000, maybe higher, especially with a $300,000, $350,000 home. And so with rates so high right now, more developers are introducing duplexes, and duplexes are valued very highly, $350,000, $400,000 for duplexes. So not only is it helping offset that rental demand, but it's bringing a lot of cash flow to the city in terms of property taxes. And so if you have an average home in Goddard, let's say is $220,000, $250,000, but a duplex comes in as $400,000, at 11.5% assessed value, that duplex is bringing in more property taxes to the city, but it's also introducing two families. And so you have a higher concentration of density, which is what businesses want to see, being able to patronize those stores or those restaurants. And so restaurants are going to look at it favorably. And not only that, I know it can be contentious because you're talking about more cars. Yeah, you are talking about more cars, but actually those cars increase the metrics that stores and restaurants want to see for moving into an area. So, I mean, yeah, it comes with pros and cons, but ultimately from the city's point of view, you're getting a lot more property taxes, you're getting a lot more families, you have a lot more potential clients to, patronize those businesses, and you have more cars that are actually going to increase the metrics that businesses want to see to move into the city. So that kind of, that brings a lot to it.
Yeah, for sure.
It brings a lot to it.
Thank you so much for clearing that up for us.
Yeah, as much as I can.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, the city council was able to approve a new position in City Hall through the inspections and code.
Yeah.
Could you just kind of break down that position and why it's a necessity for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing, obviously, is with growth, you see permits, right? Every building, you're going to have electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and you have footings and everything else that goes with it. So all of these inspections, they need to be inspected by somebody, right? And so typically we partner with MABCD, which is the Metropolitan Area Building and Construction Department. We partner with them historically to get that work done. But what has happened is that it actually inhibits our workflow process, because then if, let's say, we wanted to stall a project for whatever reason, they need to come with the compliance, maybe for whatever reason they were missing their permits, they needed to catch up. If MABCD is unaware of that, if there's a break in the communication, we lose control of that process. And so this individual is actually going to help us bring that process better into alignment, and we'll have more control over that flow. And then long term, as the growth continues, this person can actually help tackle that long-term growth. And over time, as we keep getting more and more permits, the cash flows the position, and so it becomes a win-win for the city.
Awesome. I think one of the things that's been brought before the Planning Commission and the City Council a lot recently is zonings, and more specifically rezoning.
Sure.
So could you just give us kind of a touch the surface a little bit on zoning?
Touch the zoning surface?
Yeah, as much as you can.
Yeah, as much as I possibly can. So zoning, it's a complicated subject, obviously. Zoning, we have 10 different zoning classifications, right? And by default, when somebody annexes into the city, the default is R1. So that's the lowest density residential zoning. That's the default. That's according to our subdivision regulations. That's the lowest density default zoning classification. If anybody wants to do anything else besides R1 on that piece of property, they need to rezone. And when somebody wants to rezone, we have to go through state requirements. And state requirement says that, hey, you're rezoning, you have to send out letters to everyone within 200 feet or 1,000 feet if they're in the county. We have to publish it in the city newspaper. You have to wait 20 days. You have to take it to the Planning Commission, and then you got to take it to City Council, and then you got to publish an ordinance, and then you got to wait 30 days for it to be ratified. That's the process. And so that rezoning it's something that you're going to see a lot of, and you're going to continue to see it because as the city grows and we continue to annex more land, not everyone is going to want to do single family detached. And so anytime they don't want to do single family detached, they want to do anything else at all, they're going to have to go through rezoning. And so people are going to get a lot more letters, and you're going to see a lot more of them coming to Planning Commission and Council. Not necessarily just simply for duplexes, but anything, commercial developments or anything else, they're going to have to go through rezoning. So
sure. Well, thanks for scratching the surface.
Yeah, I figure I'd spare everybody.
So if anybody in the community wanted to reach you, contact you, what would be the best way for them to do?
I love talking to people, so definitely come talk to me face to face. My office is right down the hallway, 8 to 4:30. I love talking to people because one question always begets another question, and these things tend to steamroll, and you really want to kind of address as much as you possibly can. So talking to me face to face, meeting me in my office down the hallway is the best. If you just feel like you can't do it, time-wise or whatever, give me a call. Just call City Hall. I'll answer the phone, they'll transfer it to me, or you can shoot me an email, whatever people want to do, because transparency and obviously growth, is something that I'm highly in favor of. We want people to know what the process is. We want people to get involved, and this growth is going to continue for a long time. So we want people to get involved in the process.
For sure. Well, thank you so much
for
having a conversation.
I'm happy to do it.
Thank you guys for watching Goddard at a Glance.